What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Realms of Metal. Eddie here, back with you from you know where. My happy place, my metal room here in the woods in PA. We're chilling today. It's a chilly Saturday, early afternoon here, rainy, you know, just chilling here, listening to some records. And I had Altars of Madness on earlier, and I'm like, let me just see let me run the gamut of what came out in 1989 and take a look of records that came out. And I thought it'd be cool to go through some of my favorite records in 1989. And like they're in no particular order, they're just my favorites. And I wouldn't say that I rank them, although I do have two favorites in here, like my number one and number two of that year. But everything else is all just based on what I like. And it runs the gamut between, heavy metal, thrash metal, crossover, death metal. There's some hard rock on here. There's some punk rock on here. So, let's have some fun and look at some records, man. That's what we do here. I got 15 of them and a bonus because we always include a bonus here on the Realm of Metal. That's what we do. And before that, I just want to say thanks to everybody for checking out the videos and commenting. We really appreciate that here. We're just, this is a show, by the fans for the fans, so we're talking about what we love. And maybe I can turn you on to something that you haven't heard of previously, and maybe you can turn me on to something that I haven't heard of previously. There's so many bands out there, there's so much music to check out. So thank you all, appreciate the comments. We love engaging with you. We'll respond to every comment. And no matter what, this music is all subjective. Whether I think something is better than another record and you think something is better, it's all good. We're all right, man. Nobody's wrong. So that said, let's get at it. I went through about 40 records for this list, and I narrowed it down to 15 and a bonus. So I do have some honorable mentions that I felt like I had to throw in here that are not on my list. So I've got Metal Church's Blessings in Disguise, great record. Sodom's Agent Orange, a record we just talked about yesterday. Cro-Mag's Best Wishes, love that one. Didn't make it on my list. Annihilator's Alice in Hell. King Diamond's Conspiracy, love that one. Didn't make it. Testament's Practice What You Preach, another one I love. Didn't make it. Nine Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine. Industrial Rock, I love that record. Didn't make it on here. Mortal Sins, Face of Despair, thrash metal band from Australia. Always love that record. How about Alice Cooper's Trash? Love that one. That was actually my first Alice Cooper record, was Trash. Sad to say it was my first one. But like once I got that one, like I went to the whole back catalog after that, and I became a huge Alice Cooper fan. And even how about Skid Row's first record, the self-titled Skid Row? Good record. Teeters on the line between hard rock and heavy metal. So there's some honorable mentions. Let's dig into the list. Now, any chance I get to, these first two are arguably my two favorites in 1989. And I can't do a video without mentioning this band. You know what the band is. It's my favorite band in the world. It's Exodus's Fabulous Disaster. My first Exodus record. I fell in love instantly as a kid. I think I was like a freshman in high school. Last Act of Defiance, Fabulous Disaster, Toxic Waltz, Low Rider, The War Cover, Cage in Hell, super underrated. Like Father, Like Son, Corruption, Verbal Razors, Open Season, and they got an Overdose ACD cover on this one too. Probably my favorite in 1989, along with this next one, which if you watch my videos, you probably know what it is, but Exodus, Fabulous Disaster. Brazil, Sepultura's Beneath the Remains on Roadrunner. This was their third full length. This was my first Sepultura record, and it fucking blew my doors off. We've talked about this record many times here on the Realms of Metal already. Like such a landmark record, man. It really put Sepultura on the map, at least here in the States. Like when this record came out, my local store had it. I saw it there. I bought it based on the cover on cassette. And for my local store, now they were an electronics store, but they had like a metal section, and it was all cassettes. It was before CDs. So I would just go into that cassette section, into the metal section, and just browse and see what they had. And I pretty much bought everything they had. And I had a relationship with the owner there, the guy who managed the place, and he would get cassettes in just for me. Like he would order shit because he knew I would buy it, and that's how I got turned on to a lot of my first records, after And Justice for All. And Justice for All, as you know, if you watch the videos, is what made me a metalhead, a serious metalhead. And then after that, it was like fucking balls out, checking bands out left and right. And, shortly after, that was 88, this was 89. So this was one of the cassettes I bought. So Beneath the Remains, Inner Self, Stronger Than Hate, Mass Hypnosis, Sarcastic's Existence, Slaves of Pain, Lobotomy, Hungry, Primitive Future. Fuck, this record is so good. Sticking with some thrash metal, let's go to Overkill's The Years of Decay. We've talked about this record on this channel before. Absolutely love it. Under the Influence was my first Overkill record, and then when this came out, I mean, between Under the Influence and Years of Decay, I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, two of my favorite records ever. Bobby Gustafson, one of my favorite guitar players ever. I know he's not an Overkill and he hasn't been in a long time, but he's still one of my favorite guitar players. Time to Kill, Elimination, I Hate, Nothing to Die For, Playing with Spider, Skull Crusher, Birth of Tension, Who Tends the Fire, The Years of Decay, Evil Never Dies. Look at that side B. Fuck. Overkill, The Years of Decay. You probably already got it. If you don't, you need it. Pick it up, please. Let's talk some death metal. Morbid Angels, Altars of Madness. Morbid Angel from Tampa, Florida. This was their first release on Earache. When I just got into death metal, I didn't get into death metal until the first Deicide record came out, and then that like catapulted me into like the genre of death metal. And then this was definitely one of the first ones that I bought as we got into death metal, me and my friends. And we loved Authors of Madness back then. I still love it as much to this day. It's a legendary record, man. Immortal Rites, Suffocation, Visions from the Dark Side, Maze of Torment, Chapel of Ghouls. It's a death metal anthem. Bleed for the Devil, Damnation, Blasphemy, Evil Spells. If you're not into death metal, this is a really great place to start. Morbid Angels, Altars of Madness, man. Let's go to Nuclear Assaults, Handle with Care. Again, a record we've spoken about here before. Nuclear Assault from New York City. This was their third full length on In Effect. I talked about buying this cassette and like bringing it home. I had no idea what they sounded like. Bought it based on the album cover. I was fucking blown away. Hearing the first two tracks, new song, Critical Mass, like boom, boom, like damn. The whole record is good. New song, Critical Mass, Inherited Hell, Surgery, Emergency, Wake Up, When Freedom Dies, Search and Seizure, Trail of Tears. Fuck. My friends down the street used to make fun of me, like when I had this record on, because Mother's Day, that track, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day, Mother's Day. So they used to bust my chops about that, but great record, man. So good. Let's go a little punk rock. Bad Religion's No Control. This was their fourth full length on Epitaph. Bad Religion, of course, from Los Angeles, California. Fuck. This was not my first Bad Religion record. It was Against the Grain was my first one. And I remember like being like a freshman in high school and sitting at the lunch table, like eating my lunch, right? And I had my headphones on, and like the skaters would come over to me and like, hey man, what are you listening to? I'm like, oh, I got, whatever on. And they're like, check this out. and it was Bad Religion's Against the Grain, right? And he gave me the cassette. I put it in my Walkman, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And I fell in love with Bad Religion after that. I went back and bought the back catalog, and No Control. This was 1989. Like, another fucking great record. Suffer, No Control, Against the Grain. I mean, they're all must-haves, you know. Uh, Change of Ideas, Big Bang, No Control, Automatic Man is so killer. I Want to Conquer the World is so killer. You is fucking killer. Like, Bad Religions, No Control. So good, man. Pick this up. Let's go to Faith No More is The Real Thing. I remember when this came out, man. This is such an important record. Like, this was Mike Patton's first record with Faith No More, and he really brought something to the fold, you know, that Faith No More was maybe lacking. And granted, this was the first time I heard Faith No More is when this came out, but I did go out and check the other two records before it, and like, I don't think they compared to this one bit. You know, We Care a Lot's a great song, but other than that, the records kind of fall flat for me. And this one, like, this is fucking killer. And you know what? This record is like genre bending. You like, it's metal. It's kind of like alternative rock. It had the metal rap element, you know, with Epic. You know, you had Roddy Bottom with the keyboards. You had a keyboard player, and it's just a unique record. Every song is good. From Out of Nowhere, Epic obviously was huge back then when I was in high school. Falling to Pieces, Surprise You're Dead is heavy as fuck. Zombie Eaters, The Real Thing. They do the Sabbath cover on here, War Pigs. Edge of the World is the ballad at the end, you know, with that keyboard. Really great record, really important record from an important band, you know. Faith No More is The Real Thing. Let's go to another band that's kind of near and dear to my heart. MOD's Gross Misconduct. MOD from New York City, which I think are now based out of Texas. This was their second full length on Caroline. Billy Milano, absolutely one of my metal heroes. Um, I love everything about this record. I love USA for MOD, which you probably already know. I love this one too, almost as much as USA for MOD. This is kind of more thrashier than USA for MOD. A little bit better guitar tone, guitar sound sonically than USA for MOD. And the songs are fucking good, man. I mean, No Hope, No Glove, No Love, True Colors, boom, 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 killer track, killer track, killer track. You had Godzilla, which, you know, I think they had to put Godzilla on here instead of Godzilla for copyright bullshit, but Godzilla is a fucking killer track. Gross Misconduct. They do he does a song about Batman called The Dark Knight. Like, MODs, Gross Misconduct, really killer. Let's go to Wasp. And we just talked about this record on another video. I think I did it on one of the heavy metal perfection videos that we did. I included the Headless Children on it. This was their fourth full length on Capitol. Wasp from Los Angeles, California. I remember when this came out, the record was a fucking absolute beast. You know, I listened to it nonstop. You know, The Heretic, you know, The Real Me is the Who cover, which they did a video for, by the way. Headless Children, Thunderhead, Mean Man, Forever Free, Rebel in the FDG. You know, arguably my favorite Wasp record, but I love all the old Wasps, you know. But this one might be my favorite. So, Wasp, The Headless Children. Check it out, man. Let's go to the Netherlands. Pestilence's Consuming Impulse. This was their second full length on RC Records. Patrick Mamelli is a death metal hero of mine. Love the guy. Super talented musician, songwriter. Great record. Testimony of the Ancients was my first Pestilence record, and then when I heard that, I went back and bought the back catalog. You know, this one and Malleus, and Dehydrated, the process of suffocation, suspended animation, chronic infection, out of the body, death metal anthem. Although this is kind of like a death thrash record to me. Um, Deify the Master, Proliferous Souls, Reduced to Ashes, legendary record from Pestilence. If you don't have Consuming Impulse, you need it. Pick it up. Let's go to Lancashire, England. I talked about this band on the last video I did. We looked at the Ghostbusters single that they released. Zendrix's first record, Shattered Existence, on Road Racer. Zendrix is a band I loved the minute I heard this. This was one of those cassettes I bought in the case at my local record store based on the album cover. Looking at it, I could tell it was a thrash record. You can just tell a thrash record from the album cover, right? Like super killer, no compromise, balance of power, crimes, back in the real world, dark enemy, bad blood, reasons for destruction is killer, position of security, heaven sent, Zendrix, Shattered Existence. This was a re-release on Music on Vinyl. It's actually numbered, so really cool stuff. Pick it up. Let's go to, here's a killer one, man. This was my first Sabotage record, Gutter Ballet. Their fifth full length on Atlantic. Once I heard this, like I was hooked. The videos were on MTV, and I went back and bought the whole back catalog, Hall of Mountain King, Sirens. I bought them all. Fight for the Rock, Power the, wherever the other one was. Of Rage and War, Gutter Ballet, When the Crowds Are Gone, Mentally Yours, Summer's Rain. I mean, beautiful tracks. Sabotage sort of has that like neoclassical kind of feel to their stuff, and obviously they went on to become Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which makes total sense. But Gutter Ballet, legendary record, man. I would recommend this to anybody, along with Hall and the Mountain King. Love it, man. Pick it up. Got some hard rock for you. I got some Southern sleaze rock. Dangerous Toys, self-titled debut. I wish I had this on vinyl. I'm just not spending like $150 for a vinyl of this. I'll wait for the re-release if it ever gets re-released. But this was their first full length. They're from Austin, Texas. I wouldn't call them glam rock because they weren't glammy. They were kind of sleazy, and I loved everything about the first Dangerous Toys record. Jason McMaster is a favorite vocalist of mine. Like, he was unique. Like, nobody sounded like him. He was full of attitude. This record is full of attitude, and that's one of the things I really like about it. Like a Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction is full of fucking attitude. The old AC/DC records are full of attitude, and that resonates with me, and I loved it right from the beginning. Teasing, Pleasing, Scared, Bones in the Gutter, Take Me Drunk, Feels Like a Hammer, Sporting a Woody, Queen of the Nile, Outlaw, super underrated. I'm an outlaw. 10 Boots, That Dog, Dangerous Toys, self-titled debut. Great record, highly recommend it. Fun as hell, pick it up. Let's talk a little bit more punk rock. The Ramones, Brain Drain. This is my first Ramones record, growing up. And when I heard this, I went out and bought the back catalog, and it holds a special place in my heart. This was their 11th full length on Sire Records, by the way. Pet Sematary on here, which might have been my gateway into the Ramones. Going to see Pet Sematary in the movies at my local theater, and thinking about it, that was probably my gateway to this band, is that movie. So went out and bought the cassette. Eventually bought the CD. I don't have the vinyl, but if I see it, I will definitely pick it up. But every song on here is good. It's just it's one of those records that has a feel to it. Songs are so good on this one. I Believe in Miracles, really good. 00 UFO, Don't Bust My Chops, Punishment Fits the Crime, super underrated. YouTube Punishment Fits the Crime. All Screwed Up, Palisades Park, Pet Cemetery. Learn to Listen, Can't Get You Out of My Mind, it's a killer one. Ramones, Brain Drain. Killer. Here's my 15th one, and then I got a bonus, as we always do here on the Realms of Metal. Record we've talked about before. Record I had to include, at least in my 15, and that's DRI's Thrash Zone. DRI from Houston, Texas. This was their 4th full length on Metal Blade Records. Was this my first DRI? I believe it was. You know, I believe this was my first DRI. Once I heard it, I fell in love with it. Went out and bought the back catalog. And no looking back ever since. I've been a fan ever since. Thrash Hard, Beneath the Wheel, Enemy Within, Strategy, Kill the Words, Drown You Out, The Trade, Give a Hoot, Abduction. Love the whole sound and feel of this record. You know, like DRI's Thrash Zone, man. It's of legend. And for my bonus, I thought I'd include a fun one. And I've listened to this record since I had it. And that's the Shocker soundtrack. Came out in 1989 on SBK. Shocker soundtrack. I mean, every song on here is good, you know, except for maybe one. There's a ballad called Timeless Love by a band called Soraya on here, and it's kind of cheesy, you know. I don't really like that one all that much, but like you have the Dudes of Wrath on here that do like 3 tracks. They do the Shocker track, they do Shock Dance, which is kind of like a rap almost, right? And then they do like a Shocker reprise at the end. And the Dudes of Wrath were Paul Stanley, Alice Cooper, I think Tommy Lee, Rudy Sarzo, Vivian Campbell, I think, Desmond Child. You know, it was kind of like a collaboration, and they called themselves the Dudes of Wrath. Shocker, really great track. Shock Dance is really cool. You've got Iggy Pop on here with Love Transfusion, which is a really cool track. You got the Megadeth covering Alice Cooper and No More Mr. Nice Guy, which was, you know, the whole theme of the fucking soundtrack and the movie, right? You know, Shocker, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Sword and Stone is by Bonfire. You got Dangerous Toys back on here with Demon Bell, arguably the heaviest Dangerous Toys track they wrote. Really fucking good. Check out Dangerous Toys, Demon Bell. YouTube it if you don't know it. I think that'll make you a fan instantly if you hear that track, you know. Voodoo X does The Awakening. Dead On does Different Breed. So, one of my favorite soundtracks ever. The Shocker soundtrack also came out in 1989. So there, we got 15 of my favorite records from 1989. I didn't rank them and say they were best. They're just my favorites. And I went through a lot of records for this. Let me know what your favorite records are from 1989. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my picks. It's all good. Let me know what your favorites were. Throw them in the comments. Thanks to everybody again for checking out the videos and commenting. We really appreciate that. And, you know, like I said, this is a show by the fans for the fans, man. We're in this together. We're talking about what we love, and doesn't get much better than that. So have a killer Saturday. Hopefully Ant and I can get together tomorrow and review the new Cannibal Corpse. We're working on that. Until then, we'll see you next time. Have a good one.